With the uncertainty in many markets, how are universities balancing expansion with financial prudence, let's call it?
It's been an arms race on college campuses. They all are competing for a relatively limited pool of applicants.
So growth for us is a necessity in higher education. If you're not growing in some way, you're standing still, and standing still in the market does not work anymore.
And it's about taking advantage of a market like this. When there is fear in the market, prices come down, and the opportunity is there.
You got a whole army behind you.
It's important. I mean, to that point.
This is the Construction Insiders Podcast. I'm Jessica Busch, bringing you the newest trends and strategies in construction, essential to anyone in the industry.
Welcome to the Construction Insiders Podcast, where we dive deep into the stories, strategies, and innovations shaping the build environment. I'm your host, Jessica Busch, and today we're going to explore how universities are reimagining the physical footprint during an era of unprecedented change. We're joined by an incredible panel who are literally building the future of higher education. From Vanderbilt University, we have James Kellerhouse and Matt Riethmiller, both Assistant Vice Chancellors over at Vanderbilt. And for a project management perspective, we have Panda, Vice President over at Cumming Group, who brings invaluable expertise in navigating those complex urban construction challenges. As we go through today, we'll unpack Vanderbilt's groundbreaking multi-campus strategy, dive into the complexities of developing a historic campus, and explore how universities are adapting for student changes, needs, and the world we live in today. From regulatory hurdles to designing spaces that bridge that gap of academia and professional life, the conversations are promised to go far beyond campus walls. Let's get started. I would like to take a step back from what Vanderbilt's doing and maybe just start the discussion with general higher education and what's going on currently. So we've talked about this unprecedented era. What are some of the biggest challenges that is facing higher education today, and how are institutions like yours and others, how are they adapting these strategies? RJ, do you want to kick it off today?
Sure. Well, it definitely is a unique and challenging time. I would say the last 5 years and the inflationary pressures on cost have really hit higher ed institutions uniquely. And this is happening at the same time that more recently there are funding cuts that are affecting both capital and operational budgets. And they have deferred maintenance and aging infrastructure, and enrollment is being impacted by pressures on international students and also changing demographics. So it's a really interesting time. Going into this period of time and into really the last few years, it's been an arms race on college campuses. They all are competing for a relatively limited pool of applicants that are all looking at all these different institutions across the country and trying to make decisions. So the built environment and the unique facilities, the trends that institutions are adapting to their campuses are really going to be fundamental in how enrollment and how revenue, how the student experience is shaped over the coming years.
So you mentioned enrollment. With the uncertainty in many markets, how are universities balancing expansion, like you guys are headed down, and with financial prudence, let's call it? So how is that balance going with major construction decisions?
Yeah, absolutely. And really building off of much of what RJ said, I mean, you can be almost crippled by the headwinds that, we see in higher education. But really, at Vanderbilt, for us, we see them as opportunities. So growth for us is a necessity in higher education. If you're not growing in some way, you're standing still, and standing still in the market does not work anymore. So I think what's really important in this space is you have to be strategic, you have to be financially tested, you have to phase, you have to think about the sort of the gates with which you can develop projects and know that either this is going to work or this is going to be an off-ramp for you, and mitigate the risk that you may be putting yourself into, as a university. But when it comes to strategy and growth, it's really about enrollment and market share. And for Vanderbilt, for us, it's really about the Vanderbilt experience and taking that to the world. And that really connects us to the Dare to Grow initiative.
Okay. So, getting a little more in the weeds here, Matt, what design elements are becoming essential for a modern campus if we're talking about really attracting and then retaining those students in 2025 and beyond?
We rely on the academic units, the provost's office, the information technology experts to tell us what specific design strategies or design elements we need to include. And it's going to be specific to each facility itself. But the themes are ageless, the requirements are ageless, meaning we have to create an environment of growth. We got to create an environment of discovery for the student. We got to create an environment where they can interact with their peers and their professors in that growth and discovery period of their life.
Okay.
So we need facilities within the built environment that enable that growth without overwhelming it. So most of what we're going to do on the technology side is going to be subtle. It's going to be in the background. It's going to be there. The systems and the audio visual, it will be there. The technology will be integrated into the facility, but it has to be subtle and in the background, especially for a campus like Chelsea that is 150 years old. You have to respect the history.
Well, we haven't got into that yet, but we will dive into the historic nature for sure. And I can imagine a lot of technology um, carefully put in the right places will be
That's correct.
important as we go into that. But you didn't touch on this, and I was waiting for you. But James, maybe this is where you take it over. That shift we've been hearing so much about, that hybrid learning,
Hmm.
um, has that changed how universities are thinking about physical space planning?
Absolutely, it's changed how we think about space. So when we're even looking at this Chelsea campus, although we have this, beautiful 150-year-old historic campus with pretty solid walls, what we're thinking about is how can that space be used and evolve over time. So if you think of it, you have to be around not just what's happening today in education, but where are we going to be in 10 and 20 years?
Hmm.
Vanderbilt, I will say, unlike a lot of universities, believes very strongly about that learning environment. So we have not in our undergraduate program embraced hybrid learning as
Okay.
much or online learning. We believe in curating the environments where faculty, staff, students can collaborate. That learning lab is really the campus itself,
Learning
and
lab.
that
Okay.
extends far beyond the walls, but actually even the green spaces on campus. So it's important that we're thinking about the future. We
Mhm.
know that higher education will certainly continue to evolve.
Mm.
Our graduate programs absolutely embrace hybrid learning,
Mhm.
and so we are working on a plan to make sure the technology in those buildings will support, in person, online, certainly more media, as works. We are all here today,
Yes.
but also place based learning
Mm.
too. So the next phase, and I know we'll get into this, is really about how students find themselves in those career industry places of learning where the whole environment, like a New York City, is their actual learning lab.
So more of a traditional mindset when it comes to undergrad, and then now you're exploring how to incorporate those on the hybrid from post.
Yeah, I would say it's traditional, but what we're doing in New York
Mhm.
actually is not traditional because what we're doing is we believe in that place that they should be on a campus
Mhm.
and have that high engagement with the community
Yep.
that we curate. But in New York City, that community becomes millions of people. It becomes industry, not just what happens on that campus, and that's what makes
Unique environment here.
this unique
Yeah.
for us.
So can you walk us through the chancellor's Dare to Grow philosophy, and how is that driving this expansion strategy for you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the things that really attracted me to Vanderbilt, so I joined about 6 months ago.
Okay.
Been in higher education a long time. Was really the chancellor's vision, that dare to grow mindset. It is embraced by the entire community, and what that's about is about being bold. It's about being actionable. It's about being entrepreneurial. Well, at the same time, of course, that doesn't happen in a haphazard way. It's how do you mitigate risk? Risk is everywhere, but how do you embrace bold strategies and also at the same time understand, what pitfalls may exist along the way? And with all of that, we have these tenets of, ensuring we're student centered, highly collaborative with one another, which is why you see Matt and I sitting here in this
Mhm.
podcast. We work extraordinarily well together on these projects. That we're not afraid to fail. That means we're also being bold and ambitious, and it's in all that we do, and it's what you see with New York City. And New York City is really like a perfect case for that. So we had an opportunity with stakeholders to identify this incredible campus. um, we had the faculty and the staff with foresight to really think about how to activate what Vanderbilt will look like in New York City. So, programming, lectures. We also are looking at and building out partners in this. So, the future of higher education is not siloed. The future is how we work with in industry. And so we're doing that, whether it's
Providing that off ramp for your students.
absolutely those off ramps for the students where they get hired. And so there's a talent sort of highway in New York that we can plug into. And what makes Chelsea even a little bit more unique, it has an event venue that allows us to maximize external revenue
Mm.
that's even outside of our mission revenue that we get from tuition, room, and board. So we invest that directly into the student experience. What we can do with external revenue is help mitigate costs that we incur as a result of standing up this incredible campus. And of course, I mean, I don't know how I forgot to say this, but philanthropy is key.
Yeah.
We've had record breaking fundraising years. We just completed a $3.2 billion campaign. We have
Cool.
over 100,000 volunteers and donors to Vanderbilt.
Uh-huh.
So they believe in the Dare to Grow mission, the
So it's
vision.
not just you. You got a whole army behind you.
It's important. I mean, to that point, right? It's important that stakeholders are critical
Yeah.
to us lifting these growth initiatives.
So what gave Vanderbilt, was it this army behind you? But what gave them so much confidence when so many universities are contracting or worried about contracting? What gave the confidence for such an expansion?
Sure. Well, I'll start for a
Yeah.
second, and certainly would love to have Matt chime in. Is one is you have decades of great stewardship at Vanderbilt,
Mm-hmm. The
financial
history.
prudence,
Yeah.
history, building, stakeholder engagement that really lays the foundation for you to take on these bold initiatives. Then you bring in leadership, and you bring in the leadership like our chancellor, who is bold and who wants to bring and really push the boundaries of higher education, and for Vanderbilt to lead it. So that leadership is critical.
Mm-hmm.
You then bring into it stakeholders, like we've talked about, the stakeholders who believe in that, they're investing in that mission as well. And so we have these indicators that where we're going is correct because we see that. But then ultimately, what's it doing for our students?
Right.
And so we have, like in New York, we've seen increases in our applications
Mm.
and our student yield from New York. We also see increases in students wanting to pursue careers in New York. So we have almost 8,000 alumni that live in the metro New York area.
Wow.
And they're also great indicators of why we have confidence because they're leaders in their industries in the city.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I won't speak for leadership in their decision making, but I think 30 plus years of doing construction in every sector, when you have a period of financial uncertainty,
Mm-hmm.
it's natural and probably immediate to look at your capital program as a bill payer for three reasons. Well, a multitude of reasons, but it's certainly very expensive. It creates a lot of disturbance, and you can avoid those as well as any residual risk. There's a residual risk across the construction schedule, right up to the end of the project. We could find something behind a wall or under a ground that destroys the schedule and the budget. So I think that there's risk to it. I think the third thing is construction always falls in a very complex regulatory framework, especially in a place like New York City, especially in a historic district like Chelsea.
Checking all the boxes there.
Yeah. So it's tempting, I think, and often it's situationally dependent, but it's tempting to look at the capital program as a place to cut in uncertain times. But for Vanderbilt, Dare to Grow is not, it's not a bumper sticker, and it's not being foolhardy. It's about making prudent business decisions. It's about having the right procurement processes, about making the right project level planning decisions. And it's about taking advantage of a market like this. When there is fear in the market, prices come down, and the opportunity is there. So yeah, we like our timing in New York, and we like our opportunity.
So we have New York in terms of expansion, West Palm Beach, another area for you guys, and potentially places like San Francisco. What's the strategic logic behind those locations? I know you mentioned a large alumni pool here. Is that why across the board for all these locations?
Yeah, I mean, these are great questions, and I think we talk about the nodes of where our alumni are, so these communities that we've graduated students to, and where our families are coming from. We talk about industry, so when you think about New York, you think about financial services, the arts, civic engagement. When you think about West Palm Beach, it's more fintech, investing. That area is growing like crazy. So you want to put students where the jobs are, where the opportunities are.
Yeah.
And so on the ground too, we also have been fortunate to build a network of folks who are helping us identify those opportunities. It's great to have someone like a volunteer here in New York who knew that this campus existed. We in Nashville wouldn't have known this.
Right.
She lived across the street
I was like,
and
hey, I
knew,
got a spot for you
yeah,
guys.
there's an opportunity. Similarly, in West Palm Beach, we have alumni on the ground who work in the industries and say, "Wait, there's an opportunity here." And West Palm has been looking for someone to come in, a university like a Vanderbilt to come in, and this is a great opportunity to do that. So I think it brings all of those together to identify what are those right opportunities, and then you build a financial model on what works,
Yeah.
potentially. And then you also make sure that you can mitigate the risk as much as possible. So with a West Palm Beach, we're thinking about how philanthropy is really driving that project. And if we don't hit a certain number, we can reevaluate. Is this the right time? Is this the right place? Or do we have to pursue it in a different way?
And not to go too far from that, but I can imagine other higher education institutions, universities would be curious, how do you frame this to these stakeholders or the lady across the street, from the current campus here? How are you framing that? Is it like an investment in the future? Is it responding to needs? How are you getting so many people behind something that could seem risky?
Well, I think it's both. Honestly, I think it's future proofing us in a lot of ways. It's being bold. It's leaning into Dare to Grow. It's doing the things that we've talked about around place based learning, partnering with industry, being in the right urban environments for our students and for our faculty. I mean, being in New York City takes so much of the research and our faculty leadership, and it brings it to a big market. It's not just Nashville, Tennessee focused. It brings it to New York, one of the larger markets in the space. But then we are also reacting to the market in some ways as well. We know that there is a real appetite for what Vanderbilt's doing. We see it in our admission numbers, we see it in philanthropy. And so we can then sort of bring the two together again to take these bold steps. And so I think for us, it's really both. Matt, I don't know if you have any thoughts about that otherwise, but
No, I think that's correct. You have to look at what the specific these specific environmental opportunities, I'll say, or the architectural opportunities of a given site. West Palm Beach, New York, other locations are going to have very unique landscaping, very unique architecture, and then how do you create the same Vanderbilt student and researcher experience, that same high level experience in all of those different environments and make it uniquely Vanderbilt, right? I mean, our campus in Nashville is not just an arboretum. It's a metaphor for discovery and growth, and we have to have that same experience of discovery and growth wherever we are. And so from the built environment side, how do we create that, but make it geographically specific?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I don't mean to break up the conversation, but we've heard a lot, James, from you about Vanderbilt's overall strategy, philosophy, for this growth strategy. But when we come back, I would like to dive a little bit more into the weeds, talk about this specific campus here
Mm.
in Chelsea, get a little more into the weeds with construction, regulatory issues, all of that, the good stuff from a construction standpoint, right? We love the philosophy, but when we come back, let's get ready to dive a little deeper into the whys and the hows. So let's just take a quick pause, and we'll be back with you guys shortly.
Great. Thank you.
Check back in a few weeks to continue the conversation about higher education with RJ Panda, James Kellerhouse, and Matthew Riethmiller. And don't forget to subscribe to the Construction Insiders podcast to get notified when new episodes go live.